1503. Rome. Official history calls the Borgias history's most ruthless poisoners, but the evidence tells a different story. For over 500 years, one name has been synonymous with poison, betrayal, and unchecked ambition in the Renaissance papal court: Borgia. Popular history remembers Pope Alexander VI as a man who bought his way onto the papal throne, his son Cesare as a ruthless political assassin, and his daughter Lucrezia as a seductress who poisoned rivals with a ring, hiding a secret compartment. It's a story that has survived in operas, novels, and television dramas for half a millennium. There's just one problem. Almost none of it holds up when you actually check the sources it came from. This is the Borgia family, and the case against them may be one of history's most successful smear campaigns. The Borgia reputation didn't emerge from nowhere. Rodrigo Borgia, a Spanish cardinal, became Pope Alexander VI in 1492 through a papal election widely believed at the time to involve substantial bribery. Even by the standards of a period when buying influence in Rome was hardly unusual. His son Cesare consolidated territory across central Italy through military campaigns that were, by any measure, brutal even for their era. His daughter Lucrezia was married off 3 times as a political tool before she turned 22. So the raw material for a dark legend was genuinely there. Ambition, nepotism, political violence, all well documented. The trouble is, what happened next? After Alexander died in 1503, his family's enemies, chief among them the Della Rovere family, whose own candidate Giuliano della Rovere became the next pope, Julius II, had every political incentive to make the Borgias look as monstrous as possible, and they had the perfect tool to do it. In an era before forensic toxicology existed, any sudden death of a wealthy Roman could be, and often was, blamed on poison. Once that rumor started, there was no test that could disprove it. Modern historians and toxicologists have gone back through the specific poisoning claims attached to the Borgia name, and the pattern that emerges is strikingly consistent. The closer you look, the less solid the evidence becomes. Take cantarella, the supposed signature Borgia poison. Described in later legend as a white powder made from arsenic extracted through an elaborate process involving a poisoned pig carcass. No contemporary recipe for it survives. No 16th century source describes its actual preparation in verifiable detail. The earliest detailed accounts of cantarella appeared decades after the Borgias were already dead, written by authors with every reason to embellish. Meanwhile, actual toxicological analysis of the era's most famous Borgia poisoning victims tells a different story. Arsenic poisoning, the type most commonly attributed to the family, produces symptoms: gastrointestinal distress, hair and nail changes, a specific progression of illness, that don't consistently match the recorded deaths blamed on the Borgias. Several of the family's alleged victims died of illnesses entirely consistent with the malaria, typhoid, and other diseases that were simply endemic to Renaissance Rome, killing plenty of people the Borgias had no interest in eliminating. The most vivid, detailed stories of Borgia poisonings come primarily from sources writing after Alexander's death. Once the family's political rivals controlled the papacy and had every reason to blacken their predecessor's name. Historians studying Renaissance political writing recognize this pattern well. It's the same propaganda playbook used against fallen rulers throughout the period. A family with real enemies and no remaining power to defend its reputation made an easy target. The most vivid, detailed stories of Borgia poisonings come primarily from sources writing after Alexander's death. Once the family's political rivals controlled the papacy and had every reason to blacken their predecessor's name. Historians studying Renaissance political writing recognize this pattern well. It's the same propaganda playbook used against fallen rulers throughout the period. A family with real enemies and no remaining power to defend its reputation made an easy target. Strip away the poison legend, and the Borgias' genuinely documented behavior remains deeply troubling on its own terms. Naked nepotism in church appointments, political marriages treating Lucrezia as property to be traded for alliances, and Cesare's well-documented military brutality during his campaigns to carve out territory in the Romagna. The real historical record doesn't need invented poisonings to be damning. It just tells a messier, more mundane story of Renaissance power politics than the legend prefers. A 500-year-old reputation, built largely on stories written by the people who benefited most from destroying it. And it took modern toxicology and careful source analysis to start pulling that reputation apart. That's exactly the kind of work this channel exists to do. We don't just repeat the legend because it's dramatic. We open the case file, check who actually wrote the accusation and why, and rate what survives scrutiny honestly. Confirmed, disputed, or speculative. If that's the kind of history you want, subscribe now, because the next case file involves a very different kind of disappearance. The Borgias show how a family's real, documented ruthlessness got amplified into outright legend by people with an agenda. But not every historical mystery is about exaggeration. Some are about something that vanished so completely, nobody has ever definitively found it again. In the next video, we open the case file on one of the 20th century's greatest unsolved disappearances. The Amber Room, an entire chamber of gold and amber paneling that vanished during the Second World War and has never been recovered. This has been buried truth. The evidence doesn't lie, even when the legend does.